There comes a defining moment in every person's life when they must choose how they see themselves. The world may label you, circumstances may limit you, and even past mistakes may whisper lies about your worth. But none of those voices determine your value. The turning point towards success does not begin with money, opportunity, or connections. It begins with a decision. The decision to value yourself. When you understand that you are not ordinary, not accidental, and not insignificant, something shifts within you. Confidence rises. Vision becomes clearer. Courage awakens. And from that internal transformation, outward success becomes inevitable. What you believe about yourself shapes what you allow, what you pursue, and what you achieve. If you undervalue yourself, you will accept less than you deserve. If you recognize your worth, you will rise to the level of your true potential. Success begins the moment you decide that you are valuable and that your life has purpose, meaning, and impact. Success begins with a decision, and that decision is deeply personal. It is the moment you choose to see yourself differently, not as a victim of circumstances, not as a product of your past mistakes, not as someone limited by other people's opinions, but as a person of worth, potential, and purpose. This decision does not require permission. It does not require applause. It does not require validation. It requires courage. Because the truth is, the world will often try to define you before you define yourself. If you do not consciously decide how you see your own value, you will unconsciously accept how others see it. The most powerful shift in a person's life happens internally. Before success shows up in your bank account, your career, your relationships, or your achievements, it must first show up in your thinking. If you believe you are small, you will live small. If you believe you are undeserving, you will reject opportunities that could elevate you. If you believe you are incapable, you will hesitate at the very doors that were meant to open for you. But when you decide that you have value, something changes in your posture, in your speech, and in your choices. This decision is not about ego. It is not about arrogance. It is about recognition. Recognition that you were born with gifts, abilities, and ideas that no one else possesses in exactly the same way. Recognition that your presence here is not accidental. When you understand this, you stop treating your life casually. You stop wasting your time on things that drain you. You stop accepting treatment that diminishes you. You begin to protect your energy, your dreams, and your vision. The reason this decision changes everything is because it shifts responsibility back to you. When you undervalue yourself, you blame others for your stagnation. You blame your background, your lack of connections, your limited resources. But when you decide that you are valuable, you realize that you are also responsible. Responsible for developing your skills, responsible for managing your time. Responsibility is not a burden when you see your worth. It becomes empowerment. Think about the way you treat something valuable. If you own something expensive, you protect it, you maintain it, you insure it, you store it carefully, you handle it with respect. Now imagine treating yourself that way. Imagine guarding your mind from negative influences because you recognize it as valuable. Imagine refusing toxic relationships because you understand your emotional well-being matters. Imagine investing in education, growth, and health because you believe you are worth the investment. That is what happens when you make the decision to value yourself. Many people wait for success before they decide they are worthy. They say, when I get the promotion, then I'll feel confident. When I earn more money, then I'll believe in myself. When people recognize my talent, then I'll value myself. But that thinking is backward. Success does not create self-worth. Self-worth creates success. The promotion, the money, the recognition, those are results. And results flow from belief. If you do not believe in your value first, you will sabotage the very opportunities that could elevate you. This decision also requires you to confront your inner critic, that voice that reminds you of your failures, that voice that compares you to others, that voice that magnifies your weaknesses and minimizes your strengths. Valuing yourself means refusing to let that voice control your narrative. It means acknowledging your flaws without allowing them to define you. It means understanding that mistakes are experiences, not identities. When you decide to value yourself, you begin to operate from confidence instead of fear. You apply for positions you once thought were beyond you. You speak up in rooms where you once stayed silent. You pursue ideas that once intimidated you, not because you suddenly became more talented overnight, but because you changed your perception of yourself. And perception influences performance. There is also a shift in the way you handle rejection. When you don't value yourself, rejection feels like confirmation that you are not enough. It feels personal and permanent. But when you value yourself, rejection becomes redirection. It becomes feedback. It becomes part of the journey rather than the end of it. You understand that one no does not decrease your worth. Your value remains constant, regardless of other people's responses. This decision is quiet but powerful. No one may notice it immediately. There may not be fireworks or applause, but internally, something solidifies. You stop negotiating your dreams away. You stop shrinking your vision to fit other people's expectations. You stop tolerating environments that stifle your growth. Instead, you begin to seek spaces that challenge and stretch you. Valuing yourself also affects the standards you set. You begin to demand excellence from yourself, not out of pressure, but out of respect. You show up prepared because you know your contribution matters. You follow through on commitments because your word has value. You take care of your body because your health is important. Discipline becomes easier when it is rooted in self-respect. The truth is, many people struggle not because they lack talent, but because they lack self-belief. They have ideas, but they doubt their ability to execute them. They have dreams, but they question whether they deserve them. The difference between those who rise and those who remain stagnant often comes down to this internal decision. The decision to say, I am valuable, my ideas matter, my effort counts, my life has purpose. This decision must be renewed daily. The world will challenge it. Criticism will test it. Failure will attempt to weaken it. But every day you must choose again to see yourself through a lens of value rather than deficiency. It is a mindset you cultivate intentionally. Success begins long before the applause, long before the achievements, long before the visible rewards. It begins in the quiet space of your mind where you decide who you are and what you are worth. When you decide that you are valuable, you unlock courage. When you unlock courage, you take action. When you take action consistently, results follow. Everything changes when you change the way you see yourself. The direction of your life shifts the moment you stop waiting for others to affirm your worth and start affirming it yourself. That decision is the foundation. Without it, success is unstable. With it, success becomes sustainable. Your worth is not something you earn. It is something you already possess. Many people live their lives trashed, to prove themselves to the world, seeking validation from others, chasing recognition, or comparing themselves to someone else's standard of success. They believe that if they achieve enough, acquire enough, or are accepted by the right people, they will finally feel valuable. But this is a misconception. Your value is inherent. It is not dependent on what you do, what you have, or how others perceive you. It is embedded in who you are as a unique individual, and it exists independently of circumstances, achievements, or failures. Recognizing this truth is transformative because it frees you from the constant need for external approval and allows you to operate from a place of confidence, purpose, and authenticity. When you understand that your worth is innate, it changes how you see yourself, how you treat yourself, and how you engage with the world around you. Living without awareness of your inherent worth can lead to a life of compromise and dissatisfaction. People often settle for situations, relationships, or work that do not honor them because they do not realize the value they carry simply by existing. They shrink themselves to fit expectations, tolerate disrespect, and suppress their talents out of fear of failure or rejection. This approach leads to frustration, low self-esteem, and a feeling that life is heavier than it needs to be. But when a person understands their intrinsic value, a new standard is established internally. Suddenly, certain things are no longer acceptable. You no longer compromise your integrity to gain approval. You no longer allow fear to dictate your choices. You begin to navigate life with boundaries that reflect self-respect and a clearer understanding of what is meant for you. Recognizing your worth also shifts your relationship with failure. When people believe their value is tied to performance, every mistake becomes a threat to their identity. Failures are seen as confirmation that they are inadequate, and this mindset often results in avoidance, procrastination, or giving up entirely. However, when your worth is understood as independent of outcomes, failure becomes simply part of the process of growth. It is no longer a reflection of who you are. It is a stepping stone to who you are becoming. You start to approach challenges with curiosity and resilience rather than fear and self-doubt. You are willing to take calculated risks, try new paths, and step into opportunities that previously seemed too intimidating because your sense of value does not fluctuate with each temporary setback. Understanding your inherent worth also transforms the way you interact with others. When you operate from a place of self-value, you stop seeking constant validation or approval from others. You are able to give your time, energy, and attention without desperation or compromise. You are less likely to tolerate manipulation, toxicity, or disrespect because you recognize that you are valuable and deserve to be treated accordingly. Your relationships improve because you are able to engage with authenticity rather than performativity. You no longer depend on someone else's perception to define your reality. This independence strengthens your confidence and empowers you to pursue connections and environments that uplift and support your growth. When you embrace your intrinsic worth, your mindset about success and purpose shifts as well. People who do not understand their inherent value often define success externally, believing it is measured by status, wealth, or recognition. They pursue goals without aligning them with their true selves, which can lead to emptiness even when achievements are attained. But those who know their worth recognize that success is a reflection of self-expression and contribute. Achievements become meaningful because they stem from a sense of purpose and an understanding of the unique impact they can have. You begin to focus on using your abilities, skills, and knowledge to create value for yourself and others, rather than chasing arbitrary benchmarks set by someone else. This internal alignment brings satisfaction and fulfillment that cannot be taken away by external circumstances. Recognizing your worth also inspires confidence in decision-making. Many people struggle to make choices because they fear making the wrong decision and damaging their reputation or status. They hesitate, second-guess themselves, and often defer to others' opinions. But when you understand that your value is not conditional, you make decisions from a place of clarity rather than fear. You trust yourself to handle challenges and take responsibility for your life. This trust allows you to move forward with conviction, even when uncertainty is present, because your identity is secure and not dependent on external validation. Your inherent worth is also the foundation for personal growth. When people undervalue themselves, they often resist change or avoid investing in self-improvement because they feel unworthy or incapable. They fear that the effort is meaningless or that they will never achieve their potential. But understanding your intrinsic value creates motivation from within. You recognize that growth is not about proving worth, it is about honoring it. Learning, developing new skills, and expanding your capabilities become acts of self-respect and affirmation. This mindset transforms your approach to challenges, as you see them not as threats but as opportunities to strengthen and refine yourself. Living with awareness of your worth also cultivates resilience. Life is full of obstacles, criticism, and setbacks. Without a secure sense of self-value, these experiences can feel devastating and disorienting. But when your value is grounded internally, external challenges do not shake your identity. Criticism becomes feedback, setbacks become lessons, and obstacles become opportunities to demonstrate persistence. You are able to maintain hope and focus, even in difficult circumstances, because your confidence does not depend on favorable outcomes. It is anchored in the understanding that you are inherently valuable, capable, and deserving of success and fulfillment. Ultimately, recognizing your inherent worth changes the way you see your life, your opportunities, and your potential. It allows you to stop seeking permission to succeed, stop comparing yourself to others, and stop measuring your value based on temporary circumstances. You start to live with intention, integrity, and purpose. You prioritize actions, relationships, and experiences that reflect and honor your true value. This mindset opens doors that were previously closed, inspires others around you, and creates a life where success is not just measured in accomplishments, but in alignment with who you truly are. Understanding and embracing your intrinsic worth is not a one-time realization. It is a continuous practice of self-awareness, self-respect, and self-belief. When you live from this foundation, everything you do is filtered through the lens of value, and the possibilities for your life expand beyond what you previously imagined. Many people live their lives settling for less than they deserve without even realizing it. Settling is often subtle. It starts with small compromises that feel harmless at first, but gradually accumulate into a life that falls short of your potential. You may settle in relationships, tolerating disrespect, neglect, or lack of support because you fear being alone or feel that love is scarce. You may settle in your career, staying in positions that drain your energy or fail to utilize your gifts because it seems safer than pursuing something greater. You may settle in your personal goals, suppressing dreams or ambitions because they appear too challenging or because others have convinced you they are unrealistic. Settling is born from a lack of self-value, the belief that you are not worthy of better circumstances, and the false notion that life's best opportunities are meant for someone else. The moment you realize your worth, the pattern of settling begins to break because you start to understand that you deserve more than what is convenient, easy, or imposed by others' limitations. Settling often begins with fear disguised as prudence. Fear whispers that reaching higher will lead to failure, rejection, or disappointment. Fear convinces you to tolerate mediocrity to avoid risk. When you do not recognize your value, you allow fear to dominate your decisions, preventing you from pursuing your true purpose. You remain stuck in familiar patterns, repeating behaviors that keep you small. However, when you embrace your worth, fear loses its grip. You recognize that failure is not a reflection of your value, and that rejection is not an indication that you are undeserving. You become willing to take calculated risks, to step beyond your comfort zone, and to pursue opportunities that align with your purpose, knowing that you are inherently worthy of success and fulfillment. When people settle, they often minimize their own needs and desires, placing the comfort or expectations of others above their own. They compromise their time, energy, and values to accommodate people who do not respect or appreciate them. They remain in situations that sap their vitality because they mistakenly believe that giving in or tolerating hardship is proof of loyalty, love, or resilience. However, valuing you, right self shifts this perspective. You begin to prioritize your own growth and well-being without guilt. You understand that saying no is not selfish and that refusing to settle is not arrogance. It is an act of self-respect and recognition of your inherent worth. You realize that by choosing what truly serves you, you are positioning yourself to reach your full potential and contribute more meaningfully to others. Settling also manifests in your standards. When you undervalue yourself, your standards are low. You accept situations, people, and outcomes that do not match your true potential because you doubt that you deserve better. This can appear as complacency or passivity, but it is rooted in a deep-seated belief that striving for more is futile or unnecessary. Conversely, when you recognize your worth, your standards rise. You refuse to accept less than you are capable of achieving. You set boundaries in relationships, demand excellence in your work, and pursue goals that challenge and elevate you. High standards are not about perfection. They are about honoring your own value and refusing to allow circumstances or others' limitations to dictate the quality of your life. Settling can also be tied to external validation. Many people allow others' opinions, judgments, or expectations to dictate what they accept. They pursue approval over authenticity, trying to fit into molds that are not designed for them. They remain in environments or pursue paths that do not fulfill them because they fear disapproval or rejection. Recognizing your worth frees you from this cycle. When you know your value, you stop needing permission to pursue what aligns with your true self. You are guided by your purpose, not by the fear of disappointing others or falling short of external expectations. This internal clarity empowers you to make choices that lead to genuine growth and fulfillment. NT rather than temporary satisfaction. The impact of settling is cumulative. Every compromise made out of fear, insecurity, or undervaluing yourself chips away at your potential. Over time, patterns of settling become habits, shaping a life that feels ordinary, limited, or unfulfilling. But the moment you choose to value yourself, these patterns begin to shift. You start making intentional decisions that reflect self-respect, clarity, and purpose. You seek environments, opportunities, and relationships that uplift rather than diminish you. You embrace challenges and pursue goals that stretch your capabilities. Your life begins to reflect your true potential, not the limitations imposed by fear, doubt, or external pressure. Recognizing your worth also transforms the way you perceive opportunities. When you settle, opportunities are often overlooked, dismissed, or undervalued because you do not see yourself as deserving. You may decline challenges or shy away from growth because you underestimate your capabilities. But when you value yourself, you recognize that opportunities are not random or exclusive to others. You begin to step forward with confidence, pursuing situations that will develop your skills, expand your influence, and fulfill your purpose. You see doors where you once saw walls, and you approach life proactively rather than reactively. Self-value also affects your resilience. Settling often stems from fear of difficulty or failure, and when challenges arise, it reinforces the belief that you are not enough. But valuing yourself strengthens your ability to persevere. You understand that difficulties do not diminish your worth and that setbacks are temporary. You approach life's obstacles with determination, seeing them as part of the journey toward achieving your full potential. This mindset allows you to maintain hope, focus, and effort, even when circumstances are challenging, creating a trajectory that consistently moves toward growth rather than stagnation. Ultimately, refusing to settle is about aligning your life with your true value. It is about recognizing that you deserve respect, opportunity, fulfillment, and success, and refusing to accept anything less. It requires courage, self-awareness, and persistence, but it is the foundation of meaningful achievement. Settling may feel safe, comfortable, or convenient in the moment, but it diminishes your long-term potential. Choosing not to settle elevates your standards, strengthens your resolve, and positions you for experiences, relationships, and accomplishments that honor who you are. Every decision, every boundary set, and every risk taken from a place of self-value moves you closer to a life that reflects your true worth, enabling you to live fully, purposefully, and without regret. By refusing to settle, you reclaim the power to shape your destiny and align your life with the value you inherently possess. Investing in yourself is one of the most important choices you can make in life, yet it is often overlooked. Many people spend their time, energy, and resources on external pursuits, seeking validation, material gain, or recognition, while neglecting the one asset that will determine the quality and impact of everything else: themselves. You are your greatest resource, and your growth, development, and well-being have a direct influence on the opportunities you create, the results you achieve, and the fulfillment you experience. Choosing to invest in yourself means committing to your growth, prioritizing your learning, and dedicating time and energy to developing the skills, mindset, and habits necessary to reach your full potential. It is an intentional act that acknowledges your inherent value and the limitless possibilities that come from refining your abilities and expanding your knowledge. Investing in yourself begins with understanding that your mind is your most valuable asset. Your thoughts shape your beliefs, which in turn shape your actions and results. When you engage in learning, reading, and exposure to new ideas, you expand the horizons of your thinking. Knowledge equips you to navigate challenges more effectively, make better decisions, and identify opportunities that others may overlook. Developing your mind is not about accumulating information for its own sake. It is about cultivating wisdom, discernment, and clarity that allow you to act with purpose and confidence. The more you invest in expanding your understanding, the more capable you become of influencing your environment and creating outcomes aligned with your vision. Personal growth is also about skill development. Every individual has unique gifts, talents, and abilities, but these capabilities only reach their full potential when they are honed and practiced. Investing in yourself means dedicating time to mastering your craft, refining your talents, and acquiring new skills that increase your effectiveness and versatility. Skills open doors, enhance your contribution, and allow you to operate at a higher level of competence. Whether in communication, leadership, problem-solving, or technical expertise, developing your abilities positions you to create value in ways that benefit both yourself and those around you. The pursuit of excellence is rooted in a recognition of your own worth and the understanding that you deserve to perform at your highest level. Investing in yourself also involves cultivating your physical and emotional well-being. Your body is the vessel through which you experience life, and your energy, health, and vitality directly affect your ability to pursue goals and maintain focus. Prioritizing nutrition, exercise, state, and mental health is not indulgent. It is a practical investment in your capacity to perform and endure challenges. Emotional resilience is equally important. When you invest in self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and stress management, you gain the ability to navigate difficult situations with clarity and composure. A strong mind and a strong body creates the foundation for sustainable achievement and long-term success. Time is one of the most valuable currencies in life, and how you invest it reflects the value you place on yourself. People who do not value themselves often allow distractions, unproductive habits, and other people's priorities to consume their days. They react to circumstances rather than proactively shaping them. When you commit to investing in yourself, you take ownership of your time. You structure your days to focus on activities that enhance your skills, expand your knowledge, and move you closer to your goals. This may require saying no to certain engagements, breaking free from habits that do not serve your growth, or resisting the urge to seek constant entertainment or distraction. Time invested in self-development compounds over a lifetime, creating exponential returns in knowledge, experience, and opportunity. Investing in yourself also builds confidence. The more you develop your capabilities, understand your strengths, and overcome challenges, the more confident you become in your ability to handle life's uncertainties. Confidence is not arrogance. It is a grounded belief in your capacity to rise to challenges, learn from mistakes, and navigate the unknown. As confidence grows, so does your willingness to take risks, pursue ambitious goals, and step into opportunities that previously felt intimidating. You begin to act with intention rather than hesitation, creating momentum that propels you forward in ways that a passive approach never could. Another critical aspect of investing in yourself is surrounding yourself with the right influences. Growth is accelerated by association. Engaging with mentors, coaches, peers, and environments that challenge and inspire you allows you to learn faster, see possibilities more clearly, and avoid common pitfalls. Exposure to positive influences reinforces the mindset of self-worth and achievement, creating a culture of excellence in your life. Investing in relationships that uplift, encourage, and challenge you is an extension of investing in your circle, impact your growth and the trajectory of your life. Investing in yourself is also a long-term mindset. It is not about immediate gratification or shortcuts to success. It is about patience, persistence, and consistency. Growth does not happen overnight, but every effort you make to improve yourself compounds over time. Reading one book, learning a new skill, refining a habit, or engaging in reflective practice may seem small in isolation, but cumulatively, these actions transform your capabilities, perspective, and outcomes. Understanding this principle allows you to embrace the process rather than seeking instant recognition or reward. When you invest in yourself, you increase your value to the world. People, organizations, and opportunities are naturally drawn to those who are competent, knowledgeable, and capable. By developing yourself, you create leverage that allows you to influence, lead, and contribute in meaningful ways. You move from being reactive to proactive, from being limited by circumstances to being empowered by preparation and growth. Your investment in yourself becomes a multiplier, creating possibilities that extend beyond your personal success to impact others positively. Finally, investing in yourself is an act of self-respect. It signals to yourself and the world that you recognize your worth and are committed to realizing your full potential. It is a rejection of complacency and mediocrity and an embrace of purpose, growth, and contribution. Every choice to read, learn, develop, practice, or improve is a tangible affirmation that your life matters and that your potential deserves to be realized. When you consistently invest in yourself, you set the foundation for sustained success, fulfillment, and impact, ensuring that you are not merely reacting to life, but actively shaping it in alignment with your true value and capabilities. There is a voice inside each person that speaks constantly, a voice that can either empower or destroy. For many, this voice is critical, harsh, and unrelenting, always pointing out flaws, failures, and limitations. It whispers that you are not enough, that your efforts will fail, or that you are incapable of achieving your goals. This inner critic often becomes so familiar that people mistake it for truth, allowing it to shape their thoughts, choices, and actions. The danger of this voice is that when it is left unchecked, it can dictate the course of your life, limiting your potential, diminishing your confidence, and creating self-doubt that undermines even your most sincere efforts. Recognizing this voice and choosing to silence it is essential because your external results are always a reflection of your internal dialogue. Until you change the way you speak to yourself, you will struggle to create the outcomes you desire. The first step in silencing the voice of inferiority is awareness. You must begin to notice when the negative thoughts arise, what triggers them, and how they affect your behavior. Many people are unaware of how often they replay critical or demeaning thoughts in their minds, automatically responding to them as if they were reality. By observing these patterns, you gain the ability to challenge them. Awareness allows you to separate your true self from the lies being whispered by fear, insecurity, or past experiences. It is the realization that just because a thought exists does not make it accurate or authoritative. You are not your doubts. You are not your mistakes. You are not the negative narratives that others have projected onto you. Once you are aware of the negative voice, the next step is to actively challenge and replace it. This requires deliberate effort and practice. Every time a thought arises that says, "You can't do this" or "You are not worthy," you must confront it with truth. Remind yourself of your past successes, your capabilities, and the value you bring. Speak words of affirmation and encouragement to yourself. This is not a superficial exercise. It is a conscious retraining of your mind to recognize reality rather than fear. The brain responds to repetition, so consistently replacing negative thoughts with empowering ones strengthens new neural pathways that support confidence, resilience, and self-belief. Silencing this voice also requires understanding its origin. Many internal critics are not truly your own. They are echoes of past experiences, societal pressures, or the judgments of others. Messages absorbed in childhood, moments of failure, or harsh criticism from authority figures often form the foundation of self-doubt. Recognizing that these messages are inherited or external allows you to detach from them. They do not define your capabilities, your potential, or your worth. You have the power to overwrite them with beliefs that reflect your true value and purpose. Understanding that this voice is a learned response rather than an absolute truth empowers you to take control over it. The way you speak to yourself has a direct impact on your confidence and actions. When you internalize messages of inadequacy, you hesitate to take risks, pursue opportunities, or assert yourself. Fear becomes a constant companion, and avoidance becomes a habit. You may settle for less than you deserve, or stay silent in situations where your voice could make a difference. On the other hand, when you consciously choose to silence the voice of inferiority, you open the door to courage, initiative, and creativity. You start to act in alignment with your abilities rather than your fears. Each positive affirmation, each step taken despite doubt, strengthens your belief in yourself and gradually diminishes the influence of the critical voice. Silencing the voice of inferiority is also about self-compassion. Many people respond to their internal criticism with resistance or frustration, telling themselves they should stop thinking that way or berating themselves for having doubts. While it is important to challenge negative thoughts, it is equally important to treat yourself with kindness during the process. Self-compassion involves acknowledging your humanity, accepting that mistakes and fears are natural, and nurturing yourself rather than punishing yourself for imperfections. When you combine self-compassion with deliberate mental training, the negative voice loses its power because it is met not with anxiety or guilt, but with understanding, patience, and consistent corrective action. Your environment can either amplify or diminish this voice. Surrounding yourself with people who uplift, encourage, and affirm your abilities reinforces the process of silencing negativity. Conversely, toxic relationships, constant criticism, and environments filled with comparison and judgment can feed the voice of inferiority, making it louder and more persistent. Protecting your mental space by choosing positive influences and limiting exposure to negativity supports the internal work you are doing. The people you allow into your life and the information you consume have a profound effect on how you view yourself and how effectively you can replace self-doubt with self-belief. Consistency is crucial in this process. The voice of inferiority is persistent because it has been reinforced over years, often decades. One-time affirmations or occasional self-reflection are not sufficient to neutralize its influence. Daily practice, intentional thought monitoring, and constant affirmation are required. This involves creating routines that reinforce positive self-talk, setting aside time for reflection and gratitude, and actively acknowledging your progress and accomplishments. Over time, the repetition of empowering thoughts replaces the old patterns of self-doubt, gradually making confidence and self-belief your default state. Silencing the voice of inferiority has practical implications for action and achievement. When this voice is diminished, you are more likely to take initiative, embrace challenges, and pursue goals with determination. Fear of failure or judgment no longer paralyzes you. You approach tasks with clarity and purpose, knowing that mistakes are part of growth and that your value is not tied to outcomes. Decisions become easier because you trust your judgment and capabilities. Opportunities that once seemed intimidating are now approached with confidence, and setbacks are seen as temporary obstacles rather than confirmations of inadequacy. Ultimately, silencing the voice of inferiority is about reclaiming authority over your mind and your life. It is the process of refusing to allow fear, past experiences, or external judgments to dictate your choices. It is the conscious decision to speak truth to yourself, to affirm your value, and to act from a place of confidence rather than doubt. This internal shift transforms not only your mindset but also your reality. As the negative voice quiets, your potential unfolds, your resilience strengthens, and your capacity for achievement grows. Life becomes less about surviving criticism and more about thriving in alignment with your inherent value, talents, and purpose. By taking control of the conversation within, you create a foundation for sustained success, self-respect, and fulfillment. Confidence is one of the most powerful forces a person can cultivate, yet it is often misunderstood. Many confuse confidence with arrogance, believing that to value oneself means to believe one is better than others. In reality, true confidence arises from understanding your worth, knowing your capabilities, and embracing your uniqueness without comparison or pretense. It is quiet, steady, and unwavering. Confidence does not need to prove itself to anyone. It simply exists because you recognize that you are capable, equipped, and deserving of the opportunities before you. Walking with confidence changes everything about the way you approach life, how others perceive you, and the results you achieve, because people respond to certainty, clarity, and presence in ways they do not respond to hesitation, self-doubt, or insecurity. Confidence begins internally. It starts with the recognition that your value is not dependent on external circumstances, accolades, or approval. When you operate from a deep understanding of your own worth, you no longer feel the need to constantly justify your actions or shrink yourself to fit the expectations of others. You stand firm in your convictions, make decisions with clarity, and pursue goals with determination. This inner assurance radiates outward, influencing the way you communicate, the way you carry yourself, and the opportunities that come your way. People naturally gravitate toward those who are self-assured, not because they are superior, but because certainty and calm in a person inspire trust and respect. Confidence also changes the way you handle fear and uncertainty. Everyone faces moments of doubt, hesitation, and anxiety, but confident individuals approach these moments differently. They do not ignore fear, nor do they let it control them. Instead, they acknowledge it, assess the situation, and move forward despite it. Confidence allows you to take risks that others avoid, to step into challenges that seem intimidating, and to embrace opportunities that may feel beyond your reach. It is the recognition that even if outcomes are uncertain, your abilities, preparation, and resilience equip you to handle